My volume's down, but I don't know. Oh.
Can call this meeting to order. Oh, Sam's not here. I called it prematurely.
There he is.
Mayor.
I don't.
I'm sorry, the camera, please.
Camera. Oh, cool.
There it is.
How you doing, Terry?
I'm good, how are you?
Is that your phone?
Yeah. Warm in the seat, where you wanna sit?
Are you ready, Sam?
It's just one of those.
All right, folks. The first portion of this meeting is a public hearing. It's to hear from you about the plan for our Round 24 application with the St. Louis County Municipal Park Grants Commission. We've got two tennis courts at Hosell Park that are in really bad condition and no one uses them anymore. And the Parks Board has met and talked, and what they'd like to do is take one of those courts, make it a full court basketball court, and take the other court and convert it to pickleball courts, which is really the up and coming sport for seniors now. And it was talked at length. And the other idea, if it fits, we've got an engineer looking at it, is to add some additional parking. So that's the entire scope of the plan. Update the two courts that we've got, resurface them, have a full court basketball court, and we think we'll be able to get, it looks like 2 pickleball courts, maybe more, but it looks like 2 pickleball courts on the other court. And we want to hear from you if this is the best way to spend this grant money that's available to us. And we get 1 application a year, and it's due on August 28th. Our application is.
Sounds good.
Is there anybody that, well, that's for the city meeting. Tony, do you want to opine on this or add anything and let us know what the Parks Board, Tony's the chair of the Parks Board, so he'll let us know a little more about the process that was gone through to come to this decision.
Yeah, good evening. Tony Washington, Chairman of the Parks Advisory Board. It was a unanimous decision that we wanted to make changes to the park, updated for us for tennis courts, like Demir stated, and make some pickleball courts. The park right now is in not too good condition. If you drive by the park, you notice that nobody's out there playing basketball because the rim is down. Tennis courts, those nets, the court is horrible. The fence is falling in. So we want to make some changes, update the park, and bring it back to where it used to be.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is for the public.
I just have a question. Do we need to go?
Step up.
I just want to know what condition the playground equipment's in.
It's in decent condition. It's not horrible, but it's not good either.
Well, is it dangerous?
I don't think it's dangerous, but it could be, work should be done or replaced or,
Is there any money in there for that?
we didn't discuss the playground, but we can, we can add to it.
Okay.
Now, I can speak on that. The playground equipment is brand new. It's only like 4 years old.
Oh, okay, because I knew we had it.
Right. That was put in probably about 4 years ago.
Good.
So, I mean,
The
you can
swings.
expand it, yeah.
The swings, though, I would say are in need of
Paint.
repair
Yeah.
and replacement in some instances, but
Yes, I had a citizen say something about the swings, the benches. She's trying to get the park.
Yeah, let's let the public.
Okay.
Sorry. And then we'll discuss, we'll have, Anybody else from the public want to opine on the plan for this?
How many dollars, Mayor?
Well, we know that the grant available is a maximum of $350,000. And we want to maximize that grant. And we think that by resurfacing the courts, putting in additional parking, and if it looks like there's going to be money to do it, it's also going to be updating those bathrooms. That also was voted on by the Parks Board. That would be the last priority. The first priority is get those courts looking nice and usable so that people can use them. Anyone else? If there's no comments on this, I'm going to close the public comment portion of this meeting. Speak now. All right, the public comment portion, the public hearing portion of the meeting is ended. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call to open the meeting?
For open the meeting, let's call a regular meeting to order.
Okay, great. Councilwoman Cleveland? Here. Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Here.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Evans?
Here.
Councilman Nelson?
President?
Councilman Hahn?
here.
Councilwoman Russo? Here. Councilwoman Campbell? Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we speak, oh,
So I need to move now?
let's,
That's what I was.
go ahead, make your motion.
I move to amend the agenda to insert a discussion about the marketing strategies in regards to the Normandy Glen Echo Park consolidation.
There's a motion to include in our agenda a discussion about the strategy to inform residents of the upcoming election and the issue at hand. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Are there any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll put that on right before citizens' comments at the end of the meeting. It'll be under F, item 7. And I'll write it down so I don't forget.
Item 7, or
Under
there's 6? Oh,
F7,
citizen-
yes.
New business.
So G2?
no, F7. And it is F7.
Okay. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to remind everyone of the vision of the city of Normandy is to be a safe and family-friendly community that is the historic heart of the North St. Louis County with a business corridor that attracts visitors from the entire region. Is there a motion to approve the June 13, 2023 council minutes?
Motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 22 City Council Workshop meeting?
I make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any corrections or concerns?
Yes, there's a question, there's a correction. One roll call. It says council member present. It says council members absent is none, but David was absent.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's okay.
Can you make that in the form of a motion to amend?
I'll make a motion to amend.
Was it on Zoom?
No, I was
No,
not.
she wasn't.
Could you repeat that, Karen?
For the roll call meeting on A1, that David was absent, and it said that everybody was present.
There's a motion to include in the council members absent Councilman Hong. Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I'm looking for a motion to approve the June 22 minutes as amended.
Motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, do we have anybody signed up for citizens' comments?
Stacy Parker?
Where's the sign-up sheet? Oh, it's not over there anymore?
No, it gets brought to me
Oh.
before the meeting.
There's no mic, so I just speak really loud. All right, Stacy Parker, 7850 Fairway Drive. So we are fresh from our Ward 2, okay, it's really like the Skyview neighborhood watch, and so we plan to have one every month, and we want to like open it up to everyone to come because we can always use some ideas from folks on how to kind of best serve our little part of Normandy. We did have a question, and we were advised to kind of wait until tonight to ask. So we have some, I don't want to call them problematic, but maybe people who don't get the decorum and the kind of community we're trying to build here or in Normandy. And a lot of them rent their homes, so we were wondering, would it be okay to reach out to the landlords of those properties? Some, like for instance, on July 4th, there's a pit bull incident, and they walked right up to my car. I took some pictures of them, and the code enforcer has. The code enforcer is awesome, by the way. He's doing a great job, but like there are a lot of pit bulls in our neighborhood, so wondering like if we had the ability to, or was it legally? Could we like contact the landlords and say, hey, there's an animal that's been prohibited since 2000 in one of your properties, or like we see like activity at one of your properties that's probably against the law, and I'm not.
I will tell you, I will let Major Larson address that
Okay.
question when he gives his report. He may have some advice as to
Cool, okay.
what's appropriate, how to avoid trouble, and what your best course of action is.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay, other than that, everything's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Stacy.
you for your work.
And Stacy, I would like to say that we are concerned about that as well. We've discussed it as far as getting in touch with landlords. We need to check our ordinances and see what can we do to contact any landlord or resident that has issues, that need to be addressed. We need to get involved in that as a council.
Yeah, because, this is an ongoing issue that's been going on for years, and it really needs to
Let's
stop.
not let citizens comments start a discussion about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Mike Sappington.
My name is Mike Sapien, and I live at 7725 Circle Drive in Ward 3. And the reason why I'm here is because there's several problems over now on Circle Drive. All right, first off, the house that used to be the O'Donnell's house, the grass now in that yard is waist high. And then, of course, several weeks ago during the storm, the biggest tree in the neighborhood now has fallen down in the middle of that yard. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but it's very bad. And
house?
it's
Which house,
actually
Mike? Sorry.
walking into the street.
Which house is it?
It's the last house on the east side of Circle Drive. You can't miss it because if you'll hit a pothole, that's, your car might, you're in a truck, it just might tear your tire up. It did destroy Mark Spellman, the guy across the street's tire. He did hit the pothole, and it damaged the tire and bent his wheel rim. Okay, but also, what's even worse now with Circle Drive is the bottom of Circle Drive at Florissant Road, right across Councilman 3 Hong's house. Right there, it's so bad. As a matter of fact, like I said, last week, a kid, I seen it. I had just come back from swim practice, and I was out walking my dogs, as Dave has seen me. Interestingly, Councilman Wong has counseled me about, Mike, you're standing too close to the street, there you might get killed. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, sir.
And I actually was on the shoulder. But the road there is, the grass, or the limbs and the weeds have grown so far out, Mayor, that now you have to, if you're coming from Circle Drive to Florissant Road, you have to pull about 4 feet into the right-hand lane of Florissant Road, southbound, to see what traffic is coming if you're going to make a left to go north. If you're going to go right, you might get a chance if they're not driving over 50 to get out and make it. But it's very unsafe. And I think it'd be nice if we had to do something about it. I know we're having do we still have the same city, the Public Works Director?
We were going to introduce a new public works director.
Oh, okay. Because, I know he's been difficult to reach, so I wasn't sure. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Tony Washington.
Just real quick, just have a question. With the problem with the renters we have in Normandy now, I was wondering, when people move into Normandy, do they have to fill out an occupancy permit?
Yes.
They do, and I will tell you, renters aren't the problem, code compliance is the problem. There's a subcommittee working on some answers for that.
Okay.
They're working to put together some proposals to bring to the council.
Okay, because it seems like a lot of these families don't know what the policies are, with the pit bulls and the derelict vehicles.
Yeah, it's a code compliance issue, and we're aware of the problem, and like I say, there's a committee committed to coming up with some answers.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, man.
That's it? All right. Report of officers. I will tell you, 2.5 years, and I'm really, really happy with the team we've got together here in the city of Normandy and our department heads. and I'm really, really looking forward to some good things. I couldn't be happier about it. Secondly, the new dump truck and salt spreader that we've been waiting on for over a year is here.
All right.
When it arrived, it had to get sent back because the tailgate didn't work and had a broken windshield. But it's back. So it's back. It's a beautiful truck. It works great. It's an international. It's a great piece of machinery. And now we can start getting some of these potholes fixed properly with some hot patch versus buying cold patch from Home Depot and patching it and it never lasts and it pops up out of there. So, and the last thing, don't forget, let your neighbors know, there's an election on August 8th regarding the consolidation of the Village of Glen Echo Park and the City of Normandy. August doesn't bring out a lot of voters. It's important that we get out and cast a ballot on that. Thank you. Is there a report from Ward 1?
Yes, and when we had the storm and it blew a lot of trees over, and it seemed like it snapped a lot of the small trees, the ornamental trees. There's one, and I hate to say this, that's the former councilman's house on Bermuda Road. It's been there 10 days, and it's actually across the sidewalk, partially in the street, just by a foot maybe. I just have a problem with it blocking the sidewalk, and I didn't want to say nothing earlier because he was a former councilman. I thought he would have it cleaned up by now. But it hasn't been touched, and it really needs to open that sidewalk up so that potential handicapped people can get up and down, and before you know it, the school's going to be there and the kids are going to have to walk on there.
Thank you. Ward 2?
I just want to reiterate, a neighbor of mine was wanting to rent the park, and she took a tour of the park, and she talked about benches being broken, swings being broken, bathrooms are sometimes unsanitary. We've had residents rent the park out, there's no tissue, no paper towels. So if we can't keep the park up, we shouldn't rent it out. That's the way I look at it. So until we can get this taken care of, let's stop renting it out. If we get it taken care of, we can proceed. But I feel bad for my neighbors to go up there and they have a group having a family reunion and all that, and it's not up to par.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on what you just said,
Okay.
and I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but Sunday afternoons, Monday morning, I'm out in the park picking up trash, putting it in the trash can, rolling it to the curb so Waste Management can pick it up. I shouldn't have to do that.
Right, and we're gonna have a discussion about renting the park on Saturday, it gets
Yeah.
trashed, and it can't stay that way
Right.
on Monday morning.
Steve met me
No,
out there. one
yeah,
time,
yeah, and you talked to me about that.
Yeah, and I'm doing, I've been doing it every
Right.
day, every week for about a year now. So we have to come up with some program. We have to come up with something where somebody's responsible for pulling these trash cans up, because Waste Management, they're not going under pavilions and getting these trash cans. It's like every Sunday night, early Monday morning, I'm out there pulling trash. If I don't pull them out, they'll stay out there. And then the park is full of trash.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it. I want to talk about something else, but I'll wait till next month.
Only item I have is for this coming Saturday, July 15th at 10 a.m. at St. Vincent's Community Center, sponsored by St. Louis County Parks. There is a Nerf blaster event for the kids of all ages. Cost is $10 per person and pre-registration is required. You can call 314-615-8788 for information or registration.
Sounds like fun.
I know.
I might try this.
Protective eyewear is required and it is provided, but it is absolutely required for participation.
What was that date again?
This Saturday, July 15th, 10 a.m. Good fun.
Good evening. I'm Rick Nelson, Third Ward City Councilman. And I just want to hope and wish that we all had, I know we had a storm over the holiday. And I know we all went through some stuff, 4 or 5 days without, I guess, air conditioning, electricity and all. So I just hope everybody was okay. And we looked after our elders. But we do have a lot of, I guess, a lot of trash that was really horrible because of the food that spoiled. And we had several residents that did call me from Ward 3, because we're a senior living community, that didn't get their trash picked up. And that's a problem considering the smell. And there are several of them called City Hall and they said they didn't get any answers. I think one of the residents came to City Hall and I don't know if they talked to Sam or whatever. Mr. Smith?
Could you speak up a little bit there, Councilman? Having a hard time hearing you. You were talking about the garbage or the trash someone?
Yeah, I'm sure you had in your yard too, right? Your garbage, your trash?
I can't really hear. Can you speak up a little bit on the microphone?
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. I'll speak on it. Can you guys hear me?
We can't hear you.
You can't? Okay, well, I'm sorry. So you want me to start over again or?
Don't you have a mic?
No.
Let's move on, man.
Finish your comment.
Dave's nameplate is between you and Betty.
Yeah.
Give him his nameplate.
Let's continue your comments.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say, I hope everybody was okay, you know, and another thing is, we had a lot of residents call me for absentee, that have absentee voters, and they did ask about the merge, and I think we're gonna get the information out as soon as possible, is that right, Mayor?
Yeah, we're gonna have a conversation.
Right.
Get the field of the meeting.
So other than that, and also I want to piggyback on the park. I don't know who's responsible for getting the trash or cleaning up their bathrooms or whatever. But we also have cameras over there that need to be attended to and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all. You guys hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from Ward 4?
Yeah, someone from Castle Park a few weeks ago saw a person in uniform. It wasn't Rick, our Rick, but his name was Rick, measuring the street situation. And that's true, that happened and you know about it? Or?
Yeah, it was Rick.
Oh, it was Rick? Oh, okay, he didn't seem to think it was our Rick. Anyway, so where does that go from here then? He's measuring it to give it to the street?
I'll let Dennis talk about it.
Okay, okay. And then, I would encourage the playground to be part of the grant for families to be able to use Hosel Park in any way that's needed to update it. And I think we need to put our heads together and come up with a plan in regards to getting out to the residents when public hearings are. There's no signs at curbs. It's on the website, but not very many people may be looking at the calendar there. And I think we'd be able to get more input if we were able to reach out more and get more people involved. At least notified about it.
I have two things. So if you get the UMSL newsletter, this might be good for you, Stacy, and your group. There's a neighborhood leadership academy, and they offer training on how to get the word out in your neighborhood, understanding government meetings, how to mobilize people. It's called NLA. The deadline is July 15th, I believe, but then after that they have another one which is called NLF, which is the Neighborhood Leadership Fellow. So it might be something that you want to look into is through UMSL. The other thing that I found out about is Invest STL has a community grant for neighborhoods. You can apply for up to $2,000 to use the grant however you want in your neighborhood, and specifically for neighborhoods that are in the promise zone. So Normandy is one of those neighborhoods. You can use it for a fun day. It does not have to be anything like political related or anything. You can use it for a fun day. You can use it to give out things. You can use it for jump houses for kids. It's just something fun for neighbors to get together and do. And you have to have at least 3 people in your neighborhood apply for it at the same time, and just come up with something fun that you want to do in your neighborhood. So you might want to look into that also.
Oh, we had one more issue.
Yeah, I had one more issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you know, we you know, we have like the Rainbow Rickies, a Little League baseball organization sponsored the St. Louis Cardinals. This year, we expanded to the older kids. 14 to 16, we have a 14 to 16-year-old team. They're comprised of kids from STEM, Normandy High School, and McClure South, and Hazelwood Central. So they're from the surrounding area. And they call themselves the Normandy's Primers, you know. So
Primer?
they have a game tomorrow at 6 o'clock at Hosell Park. Last Sunday they played at St. Charles, and this Sunday they're going to play at Dittmer, but tomorrow they're at Hosell Park. So they're playing all over the place. And one thing I wanted to mention, the St. Charles team came down here last week, and it was really impressed with the city of Normandy. They was like, oh, Normandy is pretty nice. We didn't know this existed, you know? And I felt so proud when they said that. I said, okay, all right. You guys thought it was this type of place, but it's a nice place to live. You know, so I just want to put that out there.
What time's the game?
6 o'clock.
What if it rains? You guys have a rain?
If it rains, we won't play. Well, we have a team from Dittmer, Missouri coming tomorrow, and they're like 45 minutes away.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
That's what they say, but we'll see.
All right, city administrator report.
Can you flip your camera around?
If I know how to flip the camera around.
Yeah,
Switch cameras, there it is.
there you go. Now it's facing you guys.
Okay.
As some Ward 1 residents probably know, Spencer Contracting Company is starting this week on the sidewalk project. From my understanding, they've already got the large stretch down Dartmoor already destroyed, and they've got the forms in so they can lay new concrete and get new sidewalks. Also part of that is some tree removals, but because originally the sidewalk project was planned for later in the fall, but we got moved up and we took it as opposed to waiting. I guess they had an unexpected vacancy in their schedule, and so the tree removals will be happening after the sidewalk. We talked to our tree contractors that we have lined up, and they're confident that they can do the removals without damaging the new sidewalks. But there are some removals that are part of that. And in addition to those tree removals, we recently just submitted an application for a grant with Missouri Department of Conservation for $25,000 in matching funds. And depending on what the council chooses to budget in the fiscal year 2024 year, we could be looking at completing a tree inventory, getting 15 public trees removed and 62 tree prunes, which would pretty much catch up a lot of the urgent needs as far as right-of-way and public trees go. So hopefully we get good news back on that, and I want to thank the certified arborists at Beyond Housing. They've been a massive help in submitting that application. They basically do it all for you. You just submit a narrative and to supplement their application. Next month is there's going to be a public hearing on the use of our 2024 Community Development Block Grant funds. These are funds that we received from the federal government through the Housing and Urban Development Department. They are changing the way that they are doing it from now forward. Generally, we've had a hearing every year for about $66,000. They're now switching to where you get it every 3 years. So instead of getting $66,000 each year, you get $190,000 some dollars every 3 years. So you kind of have money to build up and do bigger projects. So we will be getting, I believe, $132,000 this year. We won't receive money next year, and for 3 years after that, and then we'll be on the regular 3-year cycle from there. So, I recommend, residents come out, it's a public hearing, they want to see that there's a lot of public input about how the funds are used. Right now, I'm gonna recommend to the council that we use those funds for street improvements and street resurfacing in wards 1 and 2, which are designated census blocks eligible for community CDBG funds. So in addition to that, later this month, we're gonna have our budget workshop, our first budget workshop for our current fiscal year is ending September 30th, so the next budget year will start on October 1st. And yeah, in addition to that, I know we've got on the agenda the pay plan is on the agenda tonight, and I think it says second reading, but I know that some council members and the mayor expressed that we may want to wait until passing the pay plan, until we look at some of the budget. That's up to your guys's. So if you want to wait for the budget, don't have the second reading and just discuss it, and we can keep working on it. Or if you want to go ahead and pass it tonight, that's your guys' pleasure. So that's all.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
For the CDBG funds, does it all have to be allocated for one particular thing?
No, not at all. You can, in fact, we subdivided it last year. We have in years past. So like last year, we put some towards speed bumps, which we're still waiting on the money. And we put some towards housing demolitions. So, no, you don't have to do all one use, although sometimes it does make sense to do so.
So having housing grants for low income or senior citizens?
Yes.
Is that something that we could allocate part of the funds for?
Yes, that is one of the allowed uses, and St. Louis County administers the program. I'll have to check with the county, but there is a certain dollar amount that's like a minimum threshold for that. I think it's $12,500 last time I checked, but it may have changed with inflation. But that's basically we do one grant. So they have like minimum amounts and things of that nature, and they administer it, and then our residents would apply to them, and then they administer our funds.
Do we have to use it all in one time, or we can use it over the 3 years?
I think no, you can, it doesn't have to be used in the same year.
Oh.
And like one of the reasons why they went to this is because the sidewalk project that I just talked about, that was using community development block grant funds. And I think we're finally spending CDBG money from 2018. So, that's money that's sat for a long time. And I think they noticed municipalities were having money and pull up, and so they just said, well, we'll just do it every 3 years instead. So
I think it would be worth for us to hear the requirements for that part, so that we know if we want to use it for that, because I know in other municipalities, you have to use a certified contract. I don't know all the stipulations for if somebody applied, if we decided to use part of the money for a grant, but for low income or senior citizens, there are some stipulations for that.
I can try and get some information about the home improvement program. I'm not that familiar with it, but I know there's someone at county I can ask and try and get some information.
Beyond Housing has to, you get up to $20,000 at Beyond Housing.
But sometimes the problem with that is that it's spread all over. So we get our money and then we can disperse it, but we have to compete with everybody under the 24-line umbrella. So you feed yourself first, and then if you can't do it, then they can go outside.
Thank you, Sam.
Well, Sam, I have a question. Are you going to address the update on the consolidation when we discuss it later?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I meant to bring that up, and it wasn't in my written notebook. So there will be some discussion later if there are questions, but as far as getting the flyer out, I know that Hopefully we'll get it out early next week at the latest. And the budget amendment, there is a line item in the budget amendment to pay for the flyer in the mailing. So that mailing would go out to every household in Normandy that has a registered voter in it. And so hopefully that will go out early next week, which will, be about 3 weeks before the election. And in addition to that, I want to mention that the Village of Glen Echo Park is having a council meeting here in this room on Thursday night. It's really more for their residents, but it's their last meeting before the vote, so I know they're going to talk a lot about the consolidation. So I will be there.
I will be there.
Yeah. The mayor
What
will
time
be there.
what time is he saying? 6:30?
6:30.
6:30.
So does
Oh, I'm sorry.
the budget include, we were talking about curb signs?
Well, let's save that discussion. It's on the agenda now for,
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's updating and that these are things that needed to be updated. That is having to do with something else too. I mean, we can discuss it later, but I'll keep my questions on.
yeah, we added consolidation to the agenda. We'll have that conversation. All right, our PD report's gonna be given by Major Larson.
Good evening, everyone. Chiefs in Disney World, sunny Florida, such a sense of rest. I'm sorry you couldn't be here.
Oh, it's hard.
Much deserved vacation. I'll start with the statistics. So for the last month, June 1st to July 1st, Normandy had 688 calls for service. There were 57 reports or supplemental reports taken for the time period. There were 8 accident reports and there were 73 summons and citations. Compared to all of our other contracts, Normandy accounted for between 40 and 50% in all categories for those. I have a couple remarks. I didn't put them in a written report, I apologize. So I just want to publicly thank Sam, our city administrator, for her support on some of our late recruitment initiatives of late. Andy Brown for his work on some of the legal aspects of that, Kiana from the HR side of things, and the Police Personnel Review Board for donating their time and making sure that we can get our new hires through as quick as possible. The council for their support and their recognition of our efforts to try and get the best that we can. We have a number of hiring initiatives. I believe Chief's probably touched on these in conversations before. One of them is the Academy Contract Initiative, and that's resulted in us hiring 2 direct hires from the Academy contractually early on, and they both graduated at the top of their class with numerous awards. And I think that that's a great initiative because it allows us to try and scoop up the best and the brightest early on before other municipalities, cities have the opportunity to approach them. So I think that that's going to pan out in long term. I'm glad we're doing that. The other is a direct hire initiative. We did something a little bit different than we had previously, which was we direct hired to fill vacant positions, one of which was a school resource officer, contractually with the Normandy School Collaboratives. And I think that was great because that's typically, traditionally, a very hard spot to fill for school resource officers. So to find an experienced officer from another agency who's willing to come over and take on that role, having that latitude and support to be able to do something like that is allowing us to kind of pull the best from other agencies to fill those roles. So we're still hiring to fill our patrol division, and as we do that, we're going to be moving more experienced officers into specialized units that have been vacant for quite a while, things like our traffic unit, open spots, youth bureau. And additional administrative vacancies as they come up too. So I think that we are making a lot of progress. I know that I'm really happy, and I think I can speak for Chief Sanders when I say it's imperative that we continue with those efforts and that we make sure that the council and the administrative side of the city recognizes that they're doing a great job. So just want to give them a quick kudos there. I know that someone brought up some code compliance issues, particularly derelict vehicles. The PD does actively work with the city admin side and the code enforcement officer, specifically with enforcing administrative search warrants. The PD, we have to kind of prioritize and triage calls for service as opposed to derelict vehicles and things that are non-hazardous in nature. So as we get time for those, we do tend to address those. I know I personally have written multiple derelict vehicle warnings and citations in the last week. I currently have one that's due to be towed at the end of the week in Code Ward 3 if it's not addressed. So we are actively doing those, we just have to kind of triage some of those things. And we do have statutory requirements and procedural requirements for the PD that we give due warning, and we do make notifications to registered owners as best we can. You know, we're not trying to hammer people out here. We want to make sure that we balance the need for citizens to have conveyances and things like that with the need for the city to be upkept and maintained. So we do try to do our best. I do think that with the additional manpower that we've hired recently, as those 4 new officers, one of which is Laquita Moore. You can all say hi. You'll see her out and about. Our 2 academy recruits, and then Mariko Wilson, who's also one of our new hires, but is on another shift, where we're asked them to be here. As we have those new officers sort of filter out from the on-the-job training into their respective roles, it's going to free up other cars from calls for service so that they can do more proactive enforcement. So things like derelict vehicles, things like speeding cars in Bermuda. Believe me, as much as anybody else, I'd love to be out there doing that, but we do have to prioritize hazardous things prior to just that. So I don't have anything else. If you have any questions for me, I'll defer to the council.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
When you speak of derelict cars, are there derelict cars in the driveway?
So there's a difference between public and private property. Public property, there's less of a need. We can ticket those and we can tow those with a little bit more expeditiously. When they're on private property, we have to obtain an administrative search warrant. There's an administrative procedure to go through with our prosecuting attorney. And they have to be signed by the judge, and there has to be a allotted time for a hearing in which the building commissioner rules on whether that is a nuisance. And the homeowner, the person maintaining the property, does have the opportunity to contest those things. So there's a procedure to go through. We're kind of backlogged in that respect, but it is something we're working towards doing more of and being better about. I do think it's just going to take some time, but like I said before, I do think we're heading in a good direction because we are starting to address a lot of those issues.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great question.
Major Larson,
Yes, sir.
I understand, is it Captain Beekman?
Yes.
He's doing a lot of the training now.
Yes.
Yes, I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Just keep our city safe.
That's what we're trying.
Yes, sir.
Try our best.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Thank you. I'd like to introduce our new Public Works Director, Dennis Yarbrough. He has a report for us also.
Good evening, everyone. My report is kind of short because I've only been here 2 weeks for the beginning of June. So our focus has been mostly on mowing responsibilities and trying to keep the natural bridge stretch mowed and trash cans emptied and picked up. I'm hoping that everyone's starting to see that it looks a little cleaner. At least I feel it's cleaner now than it was a couple of weeks ago. During the month of June, records showed that we were mowing 32 properties throughout the city and working towards just the overall cleanliness. We also are working, one of our jobs is to keep the inside of this building clean. We have 2 full-time Normandy Public Works employees, and we're right now working with 2 temporary laborers, so we have 4 men working. Like I said, focusing on the mowing, the cleaning of the parks, the natural bridge corridor. The fountain is up and running again. The city hall property here proper, we're trying to keep it cleaned up. We also own the property across the street. We started keeping that a little better than it was. Besides the routines, we also started cleaning up our own yard down on the public works yard, which was a mess. I don't know if any of you saw that. But we've emptied out all those big cans that were from the previous, when the city of Normandy did their own trash collection. There were several large bins that had never been emptied out. Those have all been emptied out now, and we're in the process of selling those. I found a company over in Illinois that started their own sanitation, and they're interested in buying those from us at not a bad rate, but it gets something for nothing that's sitting there just rusting, so we'll get them out of there. Like I said, the fountain's been turned on. We need to do some cleaning of the fountain yet. It's not as nice as it can be. Our mowers that weren't working, we had about half of our mowers that weren't working that are now in the shop. They are being repaired. As far as the trees go, I know that's a big issue with everybody that I'm hearing, and I'm getting calls. Our chipper is in the shop as well. The chipper, the emergency stop on it did not work, and I was not going to allow the men to work without emergency safety. So as soon as that comes in, we'll start chipping again. We've been collecting the branches, as many branches as we can, and taking them back into that dump area. We're collecting them back there, so that's going to turn into quite a project where we start chipping all those. So be patient with us, we'll get your limbs. We'll work on cleaning things up for you. Up at Hosel Park, we've done a lot of work in there. We're trying to get to the bathrooms at least twice a week. They're staying locked, except when they get unlocked for things that are going on. I personally have gone there every morning, and I actually saw Tony out there. And I was out there and did a few things out there myself, just because it needs to be done. We cleaned up the tribute to the Officer Cates that was not legible. It was all covered and things like that. It's now there. We give the tribute to her there by the playground like it should be. And my goals are to get a work order system going. Right now we're doing it by hand. I met with a company that we already do some contracting with about possibly automating our work order system. Getting the limbs cleaned up, starting on pothole filling, keeping the grass, just keeping the overall cleanliness of the city. And someone mentioned the Castle Park. I was actually out there today and looked and saw that was my first trip out there. I was pretty amazed at the architecture out there. I had never been out there before. But as far as the things that we're responsible for, there's a quarter there that we're responsible for. It's actually on the agenda to be cleaned tomorrow, and just for lack of a better source right now, we're gonna fill the potholes out there with just chat. It's a low traffic area. It's just the people that go in and out of there, and the potholes that are in there right now, we use a Volkswagen in them. So we're gonna just fill them and try to give them some relief for those holes there and the many holes here in town and our roads and stuff. I think I've been on every street now since I've been out to Castle Park. I think I've at least made a small trip to every street in the town of Normandy. So just be patient with me, and I'll keep working on things.
Dennis, what are you gonna fill it with? I didn't quite.
We're just gonna put chat in there.
Chat?
Just a little rock.
Little rock.
If it was high speed, it would all fly out. But for this, we're gonna get in there just to get something there to show that we're not avoiding them, but to get something in there. And if enough of that sticks, then maybe I can cold patch it or hot patch it. We'll see what happens, but they're large holes. So.
Karen?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
In regards to the branches, Waste Management picks up branches, 3 feet? Could you not just bind them with string and they have Waste Management take up the branches instead of putting them in the back?
Well,
I mean, they do it. I mean, they've done it.
the way to do that would be, and I don't mean to sound, but the residents should bind them up and have them picked up by Waste Management.
Yeah, we do that.
And well, there's a few that do that, but mostly I'm seeing people just dragging them out, or not even dragging them out. They're laying in their yard or where they land and then calling me to come and get them. And Sam and I have had some conversations about that. I understand that's the way the city of Normandy maybe has done it in the past, but that's really taking advantage of a small workforce.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do as much as I can to help the people as much as possible, but they have to help us help them.
And yeah, and we actually found the ordinance, you know, governing limb pickup, and if it's under 4 inches of diameter, you put it out to the curb and they pick it up. If it's over 4 inches, you have to cut it less than 4 feet long. And then that's all really the ordinance says. I think that we'll probably bring an ordinance to the council for review, kind of
But Waste
dictating.
Management has the diameters, and
Yeah.
I don't have, it's at home, it's not, and we've strung, you know, branches together and they pick them up. like
Yeah,
that.
and Waste Management does that, and kind of for some context, you know, we used to do it with our sanitation services, and when Waste Management continued, we continued limb chipping, but we never really addressed the rules, and so I think we need an ordinance saying, you know, limbs have to be out at this time, and they have to be in this condition, because people are putting whole tree limbs out for our public works crew to pick up, and some more rules I think would help.
I actually had a call from a man that was upset at me for not picking up all of his tree, only picking up the small part of it. And so, you know, we helped him out, but it was a massive tree that he wanted us to cut up for him. So, and it was in his yard, so. But like I said, I'm more than willing to help, but there's some things that I'm just not gonna be able to do.
Karen?
I have a question for you. Is it possible to have Bermuda on a rotation for cleaning, like you guys do Natural Bridge? Because Bermuda is a mess.
You're talking about Bermuda that goes into Florida, right? I'm not Bermuda Court. I'm
Bermuda
still getting
Road.
all my bearings.
That's okay, Bermuda Road, where you.
The stretch there.
By the golf course.
Yeah, there is, the issue with that is part of that is St. Louis County. And we are
That's
starting
on
to,
that side, yeah.
yeah, and the other side is ours, the way I understand it. And it should have looked better this morning because I picked it up. So, but anyway, we're working on it, and it's the stretch there outside of where our Public Works Department is, where we drive all the time. I'm trying to really instill in all four of my guys and myself, when we see trash on the road, stop and get it. Don't just leave it sit there and think somebody else is going to.
Well, I can address that too, Karen. I will tell you, before Dennis got here, Sam and I were managing for about 5 or 6 weeks. These guys would pick up one day and an hour later, it looks like they hadn't been there.
Oh, I know.
So it's tough.
We
It's
do
tough.
that,
It's-
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
we
it
got,
would help if we had a couple of trash cans out there. Like I don't think there's a trash can.
well, we can't do that
Across the
either,
road.
Mike. Yeah, because,
Well, Mark, you know, today.
no, I'm just saying, it ends up with everybody's
Pizza
got trash.
boxes and,
Trash,
and, you know, wrappers, all these little plastic
Yeah.
liquor bottles.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Who drinks them?
Steve, you got a question?
Yes, sir. Just for what I was told, I checked into that stretch. I got a call back from St. Louis County, and if it's not unincorporated St. Louis County, they don't touch it. I was told by St. Louis County, that's the golf course, it's a responsibility. Now, I'm not.
Along that right side,
Yes.
which would be the, I guess.
On
the
your
east
side, on your side. Now, I'm not picking fights with anyone, but that's what I was told.
So that's normal.
So that's,
Well, and I'll add to that, and I remember having that conversation with you, and then the next day St. Louis County actually cut it.
oh, they did.
Yeah, that was not our crews who cut it, so.
Okay, I didn't know. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you what they told me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pick up the pieces, and I'm gonna work at it and get things, and as I learn things, more will get done.
We appreciate
And,
it.
I'm hoping that everybody will see the work that's being done pretty quick, so. And my phone got hooked up today, and it's in 320, so.
You got another, yeah, go ahead.
There's a bumper at the bus stop by Afro Road. I guess there was a collision, like behind the trash can, that's been sitting there. A bumper, a car.
Oh, car
Part of the
Yeah,
car.
part of a car.
behind
It's-
after work.
No, it's at the bus stop
At the bus stop.
near Afro Road.
Right on Natural Bridge.
Yeah, right on Natural Bridge.
Okay.
And then, I'm not sure if somebody did it, but there's a bag of trash that's not in the trash can, right in front of, what's that Chinese place? The King, no, the King, that's not right.
St. Louis Chop Suey.
St. Louis Chop Suey.
Yeah, it's just a bag of trash that's sitting on the ground, that someone just, a black bag of trash that's sitting on the ground. But the other thing I was gonna ask, just because there's this constant problem of weeds, in the sidewalks and in the, like particularly on Teardrop Park, lining the streets, and also on Natural Bridge, the weeds just come in through the sidewalk and on the street. Is there a way that instead of like weed whacking it, you guys could actually spray it? Because it seems to be like causing cracks that causes more weeds in the sidewalk.
It can be sprayed.
Is it?
Then you have the yellow weeds that sit there. It doesn't, it sits to one half a dozen of the other on how it looks. And chemicals aren't cheap, but then labor isn't cheap either, so, we were out. Teardrop Park was just done the other day, and I don't know if one of you guys, your window got broke by one.
That was me.
That was you?
They didn't finish. They didn't.
Yeah, it's not, I've been out there to see it, it's not done the way it should be. I agree with you.
The other thing is too, on Natural Bridge, the holes where trees used to be have huge, I guess they're weeds or just grass growing out of them. And I'm not sure like how we fix that. It doesn't, it's where a tree used to be, but it is like a bush
I know what you're
grown.
talking about the planters, and that's, part of that is a grant that.
Yeah, well, it's not hard.
I'm talking about in the sidewalk, the grates.
Yeah, you're talking about the tree wells, and right now.
Yeah, and then there are plants growing out of them where trees used to be, and the grates are like wonky and everything.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And we can see about trimming the weeds, but we're also working with the arborists at Beyond Housing to actually replant some of the trees in the tree wells. That's what's meant.
Because those weeds grow really fast, and it's almost like you trim those like you trim the grass, like almost, and everything. They grow really, really fast.
To be honest with you, I could keep all four of the guys working for me busy just cutting grass.
This is what I will say. I would like to see this because I am at home a lot when they cut the grass. I would like to see them walk the park to pick up things in the park that they do not see before they mow the lawn, because there have been numerous times where there are things in the park and they mow over it, which I'm sure is also contributing to our broken lawnmowers, and that is not good for our equipment. So that would be nice for them to do, to take 2 minutes to just walk through the park.
I would love you to sing that song. I've already sang it for the last
Yeah.
2 weeks.
If you want me to go out there and play something,
I know exactly what you're talking about, and part of what I have to do is I have to reprogram the guys that work for me for what my expectations are. It's what Sam and the mayor, when they hired me, went through, and I understand what everybody wants. It's a matter of getting my guys to doing it, and I've been out there with them. I've worked side by side with them, trying to show a lot of, because sometimes it's just better to show them what you want done. So I hear you loud and clear.
Thank you.
One question, Mr. Yarborough. First of all, I'm going to thank you for being here in our city. You've only been here a small amount of time, but we do have a public works director right now. Just want to say that. And I hope I'm saying it loudly so you can hear me. But we have 4 workers, right? 2 permanent and 2 temporary.
Yes.
Will we keep those other 2 guys after a certain period of time?
Sam and I are actually kind of working on it. I'm looking at possibly restructuring to get more bang for our buck, and having, it's too early yet to know exactly what I'm gonna do.
Right.
But I see some changes coming.
Yes, okay.
And it's, I'm not gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right. Okay, and I did
That's
see
what
him.
it said.
I did send him yesterday getting the lens with the truck, the International. It's a great truck that we have.
Oh, the new one, the new truck, yeah, that's awesome.
It's awesome. And actually the bed, does it dump also?
Yes, yes.
Great. Well, I just want to thank you once again, and I'm done. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, Mr. Ellis is not here to give us his city treasurer's report, but he did type out the narrative. So I'm assuming everybody read it and has studied this report. The bottom line is we have a net income year-to-date of $203,000. So we're spending less than we're taking in. That's obviously a good thing.
This month.
Total unrestricted funds, $660,000, which is better than we've been in a long time. I'm looking for a motion to approve the May 31, 2023 financial report.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussions, or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Next item of business, Council Bill 23-12, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, reenacting sections 215, 405, 405745, 405750, and 405755, and amending sections 405020 and 405710 regarding fence regulations. Now, I will, before I ask for a motion, I think there was one change, yes. Page 3, section A, there was a change made from our first reading. And the bottom line, it was so convoluted trying to make the restrictions on privacy fences. The bottom line is privacy fences are gonna be treated like chain link fences. It eliminated a lot of language from the ordinance. Neither fence will be allowed to come in front of your front building line. So that's the change that was made. You can see the strikes. Like I say, it's page 3, section A, and we're treating all these fences the same. There won't be any distinguishing one from the other as far as where they can be placed. With that said, is there a motion for a second? We'll have a second. Is there a motion for a second reading of bill number 23-12?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Missouri, ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, reenacting sections 215, 2730, 405, 740, 405, 745, 405, 750, and 405, 755, and amending sections 405, 020 and 405, 710 regarding fence regulations. Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-12?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland? Yes. Councilman Saxonheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hahn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Motion carries. Bill 23-12 is adopted as ordinance number
784?
784. Thank you. Next item of business, Council Bill 23-13. Is there a motion to have a second reading of Council Bill 23-13?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Second reading of Bill 23-13. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Section 405020 definitions and Section 405.790 special permits and enacting a new Section 405.756 regarding regulation of marijuana-related uses. And we had a public hearing on this. Well, I'll ask for a motion to adopt 23-13.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment? Any concerns, any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer.
Yes.
Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilman Evans.
Yes.
Councilman Nelson.
Yes.
Councilman Hahn.
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso.
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Bill 2313 is adopted as ordinance number
785.
785. Thank you. Next item of business, Council Bill 23-15. Is there a motion for the second reading of Bill 23-15?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri amending the fiscal year 2023 budget. Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-15?
Are we having a discussion?
Yeah, we will after
Okay.
there's a second.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions, concerns, comments?
Well, in the budget, did they include the consolidation monies that?
Yes, page 4, you're gonna find, where is it? Page 4, fourth item from the bottom, $3,734 for a newsletter and a merger mailing. And that was the only change made since the first reading.
So we're not gonna do the corner signs?
I had not intended to, no.
So I'd like to have a discussion about that.
Well, it's, yeah, this would be the time to do it.
So part of the strategy, well, I don't know if part of the strategy that we talked about was not only sending out the mailer, but also to get the word out about actually going out to vote, which is what the sign would accomplish with the from the material that we drew up. So not only does it give people information, but it also gives them a visual of when to vote and what they're voting about, and also the name. So I feel like that's more information that we're giving the community about when it's gonna happen and what it's about. I think a mailer is good, but then also people need to see the actual signage to know, like, oh yeah, that thing is this day.
Okay, so there was that discussion was had, there was no consensus. So the consideration is whether we increase this to include signs, and I can't recall what would be the minimum amount to have signs made. Does anybody have a clue what the minimum on signs is?
If you get like 30, I'm not saying that's what we should get.
Okay.
2 years ago, they were like $12. For the.
Were you there? Okay,
I mean,
okay.
but it could be more, and then if you get less, it's more. So the more you get, the cheaper the signs are.
Well, so you're
This
telling
is-
me that $300 or $400 would buy a whole lot of signs?
They would get about 30. I mean, we've got 30 neighborhoods in Normandy, and 32 now.
Well,
with
let's
Glen
do
Echo.
it this way.
Even if we got 10% of the voting.
I mean, even if we decided to put it on Main Street.
Yeah.
I mean, then it would be like 15, 12 or 15 that we would need.
So what kind of dollar amount do you think we're talking about?
We would have to look at it.
We'd have to get the estimate, but, I mean, 2 years ago,
I mean, do you want to
30
say,
cents
I mean,
cost about-
Glen Echo is under cost, so if we said 1,000, it would be 5 and 5.
So if you would like to make a motion to put an additional,
Let's just say 500.
yeah, let's say $500. $500 on line item 10-542 to include signs. And we'll just put it to vote of the council.
So then what will we do about their part?
About,
Their part? Would it be $250 each, or would it be 5 and 5?
I do not know the answer to that question.
So when you said 5. what
Well,
you
if we
think?
put it in
You
the
pay
budget,
5
we
and they pay
don't-
5, or-
No, it won't cost that much.
Right.
500
It
will
should
cover
not.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
We do less, it's not.
Well, if we put it in the budget, we don't have to spend it all.
Right, yeah,
That would cover us whether we get cooperation or not.
yeah, that's a good
So
I already did that.
it just won't cost that, and I think you risk some votes
Or
here.
like you said, we don't need to use it all.
We don't need to use it all.
So why not put 1,000, we don't need to use it all? So we use 5 of it, then the 5 is just it. And if we do use the 5, then they have the other 5, right?
Make your motion.
I make a motion to add $1,000 to the line item 10-54-2.
Okay, there's a motion to add $1,000 to line item 542 on the budget amendment. Is there a second? Is adding an additional $1,000 for signs to inform residents about the upcoming election.
It would be like the cover.
Well, it would be, if we don't use it all, then
Okay.
we just send it back.
Let's hold the discussion. We've got a motion on the floor to add an additional $1,000 to the print, to line item 542, which is printing. Is there a second?
Second,
So this is a dollar amount. We should have a roll call on this, or no? Yeah, a budget item should have a roll call.
You're just amending the ordinance, the final ordinance will have to roll call vote.
Okay, okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Any other comment or positions on this? All in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
no.
Councilman Saxonhammer.
No.
Councilman Jackson.
No.
Councilman Evans.
No.
Councilman Nelson.
No.
Councilman Hahn.
No.
Councilwoman Rosso.
Yes,
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Nays have it. Motion fails.
I make a motion. I move to make a motion to amend the line item to increase,
You gotta say the number.
I'm sorry, don't have that.
No, it's
Line item
fine.
10-542 for printing purposes, increasing it by $250 for specific use of signage.
There's a motion to add $250 to line item 10542 for signs.
And how much we're adding?
$250.
250.
Is there a second? Lacking a second? Lacking a second, motion dies on the floor.
I'll second, wait, I didn't hear.
Okay.
Yes.
You're seconding?
And we amended to 5.
Well, we got a motion for 250. And we got a motion and a second. We can have a discussion.
Yeah. So we're getting 250. Glen Echo in theory would pitch in 250. It's not gonna cost that much. We can get 30 signs.
But we don't really know the cost, that's the problem. Like, we're assuming.
Yeah.
Sure, and this.
Something's better than
We're
nothing.
assuming that that's the cost, like, we don't actually know the number, so we say 250.
Could
and
be
then
more.
It could be more,
Sure.
and then it's like, then we gotta go back to the table, well, this is happening in August, so I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, if we did, like,
Sam?
in my mind, if we did the 1,000, we didn't use it, then it goes back.
I'll just say, so if it's 250 or 500, I mean, I'll just get as many signs as we can get. So whether, you know,
I mean, of course, but what I'm saying is, it could be more than 250, but we can only pay up to 250, right?
right.
So that's what I'm saying.
So what's the problem with reserving 1,000, getting the cost, which we've had months to do this estimate, on the signs, and get the public, intersection signs, and then not use the 1,000 and put it back in the coffer? It's not like we're gonna spend money
Sure,
just to
but
spend
if I had
money.
known about this, I would have gotten you the quote within.
We've known about it for
We've had
months.
this discussion.
Yeah, no,
I mean, we've
I
known
didn't
about
know
it
that
for
anyone
months. I
else
spent my
needed
time,
a quote.
I spent my time making this flyer for a week.
Okay,
or
I
more.
didn't know that you needed a quote. I could
But
have
I'm
gotten you
saying,
a
we
quote.
talked about this at the
Signs,
last, we
yeah.
did talk about signs at the last. meeting. We talked about the
Everybody's
cost.
bought signs for their campaigns. We have an idea what they cost.
Yes.
I know that when I bought, this is what I know that when I bought 20 signs, it cost me about $300.
Okay, I bought 100 signs and it cost me $430.
That's what I'm saying. We need to know more where we're gonna get it from and what kind of signs we're gonna get, just to say we're gonna spend $250. I mean, if you want people with crayons making cardboard signs, we can do that.
Point of order.
Okay,
Point of order.
Go ahead.
Order.
I mean,
Yes.
that's the point.
All right,
So motion.
we've got a motion and a second to add $250 to the budget for signs. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Is there a motion? Hang on for me. Is there a motion to adopt Council Bill 2315? Correct me, yeah, have we had a second reading? Is there a motion to adopt Council Bill 23- is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-15 as amended?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
This is the final.
This is the final.
So that's including the adjustment for the sign.
Yes. As
I'll
amended.
second.
We have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
So this is for the whole budget, right?
This is to adopt this entire budget amendment as amended with the $250 added.
We've
No.
talked about it.
Councilman Sachsenheimer.
No.
Councilman Jackson.
No.
Councilman Evans.
Nope.
Councilman Nelson.
Yes.
Councilman Hall.
Yes.
Councilwoman Russell.
I'm gonna say yes, because we've.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
We have a tie vote. I'll break the vote with a yes vote. So Bill 23-15 is adopted as ordinance number
786.
786. Thank you. Next item of business, Council Bill 23-16. We had a first reading on this, and it's going to stay on the agenda until we have a second reading, and it passes or fails. But I'm not looking for a second reading tonight. We had a discussion at our workshop that we needed, it would be, it's very difficult to pass this without it being part of a bigger budget discussion. So it's going to remain on the agenda. If anybody has any comments about Bill 23-15, which is the pay plan and the personnel policy manual.
16.
2316, thank you. Is there any comments about this, or any additions, or any
Are we talking
concerns?
about the,
Right,
Okay.
correct.
the whole thing?
And it's going to be addressed again at the workshop.
Okay.
And what I would like to do, like I say, is not have this motion for a second reading, and take this to the workshop through July and August when we're having budget talks, which will make a lot more sense whether we can do this or not do this.
I had a few questions for
So
you.
you want to table it?
Yeah, we have to take no action unless
Okay.
somebody, yeah, they don't have to take any action at all.
We're gonna table?
Yeah.
No, not to postpone.
Yeah, yeah. There's no motion for a second reading. We'll
What you're saying, you want to
motion to
postpone it?
postpone is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to postpone second reading of Bill 23-16?
If we postpone this, how many items will we have on the next workshop with this?
Our next workshop until October is gonna be budget.
Okay.
That's what we're doing to get this October 1 budget passed.
Okay.
Yeah, and,
This is what we're dealing with.
and those items go hand in hand, so, I mean, as far as.
Yeah, that's quite a.
I mean, I just had a lot.
It was a lot.
I had questions for Andy, I had questions for everybody else, but
We might
but
want.
what I'm saying is, I don't wanna go through, and then we're gonna talk about this later, and then we get to the next workshop, and it's like, we got 5 other things we need to talk about.
No, well, my
So let's
intention,
push it,
yeah,
you
my
know?
intention is for our next workshops, until we get the budget to where we can approve it, is that's all we're gonna do at workshops.
Okay.
the pay plan and the budget.
Pay plan and a budget.
The 4th of week in
And we
July.
have to have it passed by October 1.
Right.
So, there's a motion to postpone, is there a
If
second?
I may, Mayor, the motion to postpone really should postpone it to a date certain. So if it's going to the next workshop.
The
then
workshop
that's the
on, I wrote that down somewhere, does anybody have a date on the workshop?
It's the Thursday.
I believe it is the
26th.
27th, correct?
27th, Thursday the 27th. Is there a motion, all right, can you restate your motion to include the date of July 27th? Who made the motion?
I didn't make a motion.
All right, I'll restate. Is there a motion to postpone the second reading of Bill 2316 to July 27th workshop? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item of business is new business. Item number 1, approval to move the September 12, 2023 regular city council meeting from the second Tuesday to the third Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. MML is having a conference. Sam and Ken are both going to be there, and I want them there. There's a lot you can pick up at that conference. So without objection, I'll ask for approval to move the September 12, 2023 meeting to September 19, 2023.
Hold on a second. I have tennis matches. Might have a tennis match. Is that a Thursday?
That's a Tuesday, third Tuesday.
I may have a tennis match.
Is that in August?
September.
September.
Yeah, the season starts in August. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I may have to get an excuse or
yes,
something.
and that won't be an issue.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
not a regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, I got you. Thanks.
Yes, you need it.
It is addressed.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion,
Second.
and there's a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Mayor, so you said it's,
But
since
that doesn't
it's not
count
the
as a
second,
regular meeting,
since
right?
it's not the
Because it
second
got
Tuesday.
It doesn't, because we moved it. I mean, people make plans and fix their calendar more than,
Okay, I got you.
yeah.
Okay, that's understandable.
But he says a regular city council meeting.
But it doesn't count as if we move it, it's
Because
not
it's
a regular
moved.
meeting.
Yeah, we just moved.
Right, right.
Yeah, so
Next
that-
item of business, under new business, item number 2, resolution 2321. I'm sorry, it's 2320.
Yes.
We'll talk later, yeah.
A resolution of the city of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to accept a proposal from Davy Resource Group to conduct a public tree inventory to be funded in part by a grant from the Missouri Department of Conservation. Is there a motion to approve resolution 23-20?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
If we have a question, can I ask?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so this is for the, I know I read this here somewhere, it's for the tree, for them to go around the city again to.
It's a tree inventory. They tell you what's ours, does it include condition on that inventory?
I'm not 100% sure on the condition, I think it does, but what this does is, right now 24-1, they have the entire tree inventory for 24-1 and Normandy's blank in that. And what it does is it creates a mapping software where you can see all the public trees that are owned. One of the big benefits is whenever there's a question as to who owns that tree, basically there will be a map that we can go to and it can be accessed by the public and say, hey, this is the tree and it is owned by the city of Normandy, it's Normandy's responsibility.
Okay.
In addition to that, it will help us keep track of our trees and stay up on maintenance. It will help us, form a better plan every year.
And that was a grant, that was a grant?
Yeah, it's gonna be funded in part by the grant, assuming that we get it, the 25,000. So
If we don't get the grant, we're not.
We're not doing it,
Yeah,
right, okay.
which I think is a good
Yeah,
idea.
that's
We
good.
need
I just
to.
need clarity, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So Sam, excuse me, so this means the right of ways, right?
yeah, right of ways, parks, public land.
Okay.
Does this help with our tree city application?
Well, in one way, we do have to spend money on tree projects to be Tree City USA. It's like $2 a resident.
So it's $2 or $3 per resident.
Yeah, and so this is us spending some
This
money.
will apply toward that.
Yeah.
So when I asked for a first and a second, I failed to ask for discussion, and that's put us where we're at again. Is there any other comments or questions about this? Okay, I'm gonna ask again for the yeas. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 2321. A resolution of the city of Normandy, Missouri, accepting a bid for the demolition of the single-family residential structures at 5507 Holborn and 5522 Winchelsea. 5507 Holborn is a privately owned property. It's a burnout. It's been sitting there since I was elected, well over 2 years. They are not going to tear it down. And 5522 Winchelsea is a city-owned property that is beyond repair. Is there a motion to
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so these are private properties.
One is and one is not.
Okay, so the private property, we're gonna tear it down ourselves.
Right.
Okay, is there any cost to the homeowner?
No.
Property owner?
No, we had no, there's no cost to the homeowner.
Can I explain on that?
Yeah,
So
everything.
generally, if we tear, so it's on private property. I will add that we put it in front of the building commissioner and gone through all the legal procedures to basically allow us to condemn the building and demolish it. That should first be said. So we've gone through all the administrative and legal procedures to do a demolition on private property. Generally, if we demolish it, we can apply a lien to the tax bill of the now vacant lot for the cost of the demolition. However, in this case, we're using community development block grant funds, which were identified for demolitions in 2022, I believe, is the year that we're using these out of. And so, because we're using block grant funds, we cannot attach a tax lien to the property. But I will tell you, those tax liens on a vacant lot, where the vacant lot really doesn't have that much value, they never get paid.
And in fact, would disincentivize the purchase and development of that vacant lot.
Right.
Okay, so so say like, if we demolish the house, and then all of a sudden the property owner say, hey, let me go ahead and build a house there.
Yeah, he could, it's just when he comes to pay property taxes, well, in this scenario, he could, because, we're not attaching a tax lien because we're using grant money. But if we did attach a tax lien, he could build the property there, if he paid his taxes, because you need to have your property taxes paid up to get a building permit.
Okay, so he's already behind the taxes.
I'm not sure currently, but assuming,
It's been burned
yeah,
down
a lot of
several
times they are.
years.
It's such a blight on the neighborhood. I know it's a bite that say, hey, we're tearing your building down for you. But the neighbors have to suffer with this burnout, and it devalues the other properties on the street. It's just not, it's not fair to the people that live on that street.
I do understand what Councilman is saying, but what if that person decides? He may get lucky, get some money, and decide, well, I'm gonna build here. And then his tax is only 2 or 3 years behind. So that's a win for him, right?
I mean, yeah, but at least it helps to raise everyone else's property values, makes everything more aesthetic.
Yeah.
That would be,
Frankly, I'd be happy if a house was built there.
yeah.
Right, okay.
That's-
The
Yeah.
key there is that's a safety hazard. The whole side of the building's gone,
Yes.
That's fine.
the floor's gone. So if a kid goes in there to play,
Yeah.
somebody could get hurt.
But in all probability, he probably will not build.
Oh,
The market
So who's
conditions
doing
for
the
building
mowing
on
then?
vacant lots.
Who's doing the mowing on the lot then? Do we charge him for that? If we
That
can-
will also get put on the tax bill, but it's a high chance that it's owned by an LLC, they're abandoning the property.
Okay.
So more than likely what will happen is the taxes will accumulate, eventually it will go to tax sale, and then we'll end up with it in
Gotcha.
4 years.
Okay.
And then we sell it to a neighbor for a few dollars, and then they start
I mean,
mowing. That's,
that explanation was good. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you.
my glasses back on. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 23-21?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 23-22, a resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, appointing a member of the Park Advisory Board. Wayne Kearney has raised his hand and agreed to serve. Or maybe his hand was raised for him. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 23-22?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Wayne, you want to introduce yourself and say hi?
Yes, absolutely. I'm Wayne Kearney. I am Sherry's engineer and husband. I've been helping her with her discussions about the park, so I know a little bit of what we're doing. So I'm kind of excited to get involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Where you from?
I am from Minnesota originally,
Okay.
so I know how to run a chainsaw and fish.
Yeah. All right.
But, yeah.
So we're on a fish fry.
We live
then.
here now.
Well, a fish fry then, right?
I can arrange that.
Another question, did you like Prince?
I love Prince.
He'd get
I never got to see him live though, but and that's one of my big losses.
Yolanda, you had a comment?
I had a question about the actual conference.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
How many people do we have from Ward 3?
Let me count.
Four of six.
4 of 6?
4 of 6.
Yeah.
How many seats do we have? Is it
6.
full now?
Yeah.
So 4 of 6 come from Ward
And that would assume this appointment goes through. So,
And
right
then-
now we have 3 of 6.
And then how many from Ward 2?
We have 1 from Ward 2, that's the chair, and then we have another from Ward 1.
And 1 from Ward 4.
Wait,
Ward 4 is Daisy Lomax.
oh, I'm sorry, I thought she was from Ward 1, my apologies.
So we don't have a person from Ward 1?
No. And I will tell you that Steve has worked and worked trying to find somebody to serve on this board, and we just haven't been able to talk anybody into it. He has really made some phone calls and knocked on some doors.
Knocked on the doors.
You can't make them if they don't.
And
Right.
So, you know.
we did really
No,
try.
I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah, I would like to see more of the city represented too.
I like changing it out, but it doesn't.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution 23-22?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Wanna play with us now?
Thank you.
Sucker.
Thank you.
I said that out loud.
Resolution 23-23, a resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, appointing a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. David Graham is not here tonight. Full disclosure, David Graham is my brother-in-law through my wife. This was run by Andy Brayman. There's no concerns about this appointment being legal or ethical. And once again, I serve on planning and zoning. Steve has raised his hand to serve on planning and zoning, and we still have an issue with getting a quorum to planning and zoning meetings. So if we add another person and there may be one that resigns, we're gonna be in much better shape. So is there a motion to adopt resolution 23-23?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right. Discussion of the council member attendance ordinance. And help me, did we have a first reading, or have we just started putting this together?
There is no council bill at this time.
Okay, okay.
We had a legal issue.
We had a legal issue, and I'll let Andy address
Okay,
it.
there we go.
Okay, so if I recall correctly, the issue that was asked was whether compensation could be withheld from members who attend by any means other than in person. Is that basically
Correct.
essentially it? So,
Correct.
so currently, I mean, here's the thing, under the terms of the Sunshine Law, you know, a council member can attend and perform their functions either in person, by video conference like Zoom, or, I mean, if you look at the language of the Sunshine Law with the definitions of, well, for example, I'll just read some of them. You know, the definition of public meeting includes meetings held by conference call or video conference. So it's not even just that a council member has to appear in person, they can appear by video conference, they can even appear by telephone, right? Now, if you start getting into the weeds of the Sunshine Law, someone who appears by telephone, they can count towards a quorum, they can participate in a voice vote, but they cannot participate in a roll call vote. So in order to participate in a roll call vote, you either have to be in person or appearing by video conference. You know, all of that is to say that it starts to look a little arbitrary to say, well, the Sunshine Law says that a council member can perform all of their duties and all of their responsibilities virtually, but we're not going to pay them unless they appear in person. And so my concern is that, well, that essentially there's a possible reading of that proposal that would basically be the idea that the city would be prohibiting what or where it gets a little funky, but there's a general principle of law that a city cannot prohibit what the state explicitly allows, and the city cannot allow what the state prohibits, and any ordinance which does that is invalid, right? So that's my concern, is that proposal crosses into that territory. Now, maybe it doesn't, because it's not, the proposal wouldn't be saying that a council member can't cast a vote if they appear virtually, just that they aren't being paid. But then that begs policy questions of, you know, will quorums be able to be filled as easily if people are disincentivized from appearing by any means other than in person? I just have some concerns about it, that it really strikes against the general intent of the Sunshine Law as drafted. So that's.
So basically, we can basically what the Sunshine Law is saying, that we can all video in, and basically we never really have to come in to change.
That is a possible, yes,
Okay.
under the Sunshine Law, that's possible, and that was very much the case, you know, 2 years ago, right? Every public body was meeting that way.
Before.
And it doesn't work very well. I mean, that's. I
Right,
think
before,
that's-
2 years ago, was that the way it was? It was that before the pandemic? Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm assuming with that legal opinion, though, there's no interest in pursuing that part of what we wanted to include in the ordinance.
We got the
Yeah.
information that
Yeah.
we were looking for.
So I think everything else we had ironed out as far what was acceptable, so we'll bring an ordinance to the next meeting
Right,
to
that's fine.
amend that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
thank you for the information,
You're welcome.
because it needs to
What was-
explain correctly. and
Are you
we all know
thinking that we're all agreeing of,
I thought that we were in agreement that there would be, you could have as many as 2 absences, anything beyond that, you lose your compensation.
I don't agree with that. the two.
I thought that was the general consensus.
Yeah,
when we left it
that's what it
earlier.
was.
It wasn't.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but I mean,
Yeah.
everybody does it.
I voiced a concern.
Well, you can bring it up
Well,
to.
yeah, we can bring it up, next time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so
Okay,
like we
let's
said,
drop
we
the
can
deal
just,
and
you
let's go.
can be
So
here
next
by
time-
yourself, Mayor, and we all just video.
Yeah, that's about
Just draft the deal.
Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible.
So
Yes.
next time we'll have a first reading about.
We'll have a first reading
Amendment,
about the
for the amendment.
amending the existing ordinance, yes. And then we'll have more discussion at that time. Last item on the agenda is the consolidation. Debbie, you wanted to introduce an idea?
Well, I've spoken, I've shared this suggestion is that when people get the mailing, why aren't we having, and I've discussed this with Sam, I've talked with a few people about it, why aren't we having, the term would be town hall meeting, so that if they get the mailing and they wanna discuss it, there's a place and a gathering that they could come and discuss it. I think that's, along with the public signs to help promote getting people to vote. Because both municipalities, Glen Echo has to vote it in, and we have to vote it in. It's not that it's mostly Glen Echo that have to do the vote. Both of us, right, Andy, have to pass it.
Correct.
And so, I just kind of feel we're kind of dragging our heels on it took so long to agree on the mailing. Yolanda and Vicky did such good work with the flyer, and to include in the flyer then a date for the town hall meeting so that people know they could come and discuss what's gonna be put on the ballot that they're gonna vote on.
All right, I will tell you, I will be happy to come to a town hall meeting if it's the council's pleasure to schedule one. I'm not convinced that that's the best use of our time. Those same hours could be used hitting the streets, knocking on doors, and having informal conversations with people.
True, but that we haven't discussed that. I mean, we're getting the mailing, but there's no extra flyers to go door to door with.
Debbie, let me finish, let other people.
Well, I
have
mean,
voice.
it's been months. We've
Okay,
had this
no, you
in and out on the
haven't, and
table.
I just respectfully don't think that would be the best use of our time, and I don't know that it's gonna be well attended. But I'm happy to come if it's the council's pleasure, but I wanna hear from everybody else what they think about this idea.
Can I add something?
Please go.
Has any council members got any calls from any of your residents that have mail-in votes, absentee votes? Has anyone?
Is this about the,
About the August vote, the merge?
have you,
That
have
they've
we
signed
gotten
up
calls
for it,
asking
or-
people how to?
Have you gotten calls from any of your residents about the idea of the merge because they're doing absentee
Most of them don't
vote?
Because they have
about
to get
it.
it in.
They don't know
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
they're getting absentee vote.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
getting
Right, so
ballots.
that's why we need to get the flyer out.
That's what I'm saying. They're getting ballots right
I
I
have
now.
don't know what's
They're
going
getting
on.
ballots without asking for ballots?
They're getting ballots. I got residents call me and say.
Well, if you're a registered voter, they sending you, they
That's what I'm
sending
telling
you
you.
the card.
All the
that you know.
registered voters that do absentee votes are getting these ballots right now.
They are.
And they're asking, well, should I vote for this or what's going on?
I've had
Ballots
people
to
ask
vote.
me.
Right.
Without asking for ballots?
You're not listening to me.
I am.
They're sending it. I have residents call me and said that they have gotten a absentee ballot.
That's very odd.
Yeah.
No,
it's
that's the
not.
procedure with the absentee ballots.
Don't you have to register every time to get an
No.
absentee
No,
ballot?
no,
you don't register
there's a
every time.
program that they just get
You
out.
already registered.
Yeah, I haven't had a, to
But
answer
you're
your
not an
question, I'm
absentee.
not,
That's what I'm saying.
to answer your question, I've not heard from one resident.
Right, so I've heard from have you heard,
I mean, there's nothing we can do until we get the mailers out. Bottom line.
right, because they're asking questions and I'm telling them to vote for
I've
it.
had people ask me, I have.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we gonna do about it?
Okay, before the council now is whether we want to have the town hall meeting to educate voters as to what this is about and answer questions. That's the suggestion that's being made. And I want to hear if the council wants to schedule a town hall meeting to address this. And I want to hear from everybody, and then a motion will be made, and we'll determine if we want to do this.
I understand what you're saying, but to do a town hall meeting, you still have to get the information out that you're doing a town hall.
Yeah.
Well, that's the mailing, you have the town hall meeting after they get the mailing, so that they have the questions to come. Are we gonna bank that everyone's gonna get door to door? We've requested a voter listing, haven't gotten that yet in regards to, and then Andy, I don't know if there's a legal issue with that.
I have it.
So why aren't we getting it then? So is it a legal issue if we see who are registered to vote and visit them?
I can send that to you.
But no, there was a question about that, Andy, a couple of months ago.
I was not aware of that question, I
I
apologize.
think the question was, do we only send the mailer to registered voters? It wasn't like, do we only?
Oh, so then door to door, we could have that information, and then we could go and approach the registered voters to answer their questions, or give them a copy of the flyer, or ask them if they've received the mailer, and go that, we were talking about kind of honing in on the specific group. So are we on the same wavelength that we're gonna do that then, if we get the information that Sam has?
Yeah, I think we need to figure out if we're all gonna do, the point is, are we all gonna do the same thing? Are we gonna mail it out and let it lie? Or are we going to walk around and help each other? Or are we only gonna talk to people that we know?
And again, I am more than happy to come to a town hall meeting. I think as a body, as a city body, we can't promote one way or the other how to vote at a public meeting.
We can't
Information,
campaign.
we've had this
Not
conversation
campaign, we
already.
already talked about that, we
Yeah,
can't
all right,
campaign.
all right.
But we can talk about what's in the actual mailer. So are we all going to just say like, well, let's have a town hall, whoever shows up, shows up? Or we all decide, well, then let's go door to door, we have a mixture of the two.
I'm thinking that we have to just send out information. We can't go door to door campaigning. That's against
We're
the
not
law.
campaigning, but
No,
the mailer will
actually,
come.
it's not.
It's
If you go out as an
information.
individual, Rick Nelson can go out and promote anything he wants to promote. You're not acting on the behalf of the city. You could take that flyer and go out and really encourage people to vote any way you want
With the literature.
as Rick Nelson.
With the literature.
Yep.
Yes.
Or should we just make up our own plan ward by ward? So I think those are the questions. Like, do we do it as a council? Do we just do it ward by ward? And like come up with our own plan? Because everybody knows their own ward and what they can and can't do.
Well, let's ask. Go ahead, Steve.
I could tell you, and I think I speak for Karen, we have almost 400 houses. I'm not sure how many of them are registered voters. I do not have a list handy. But even if it's a couple hundred, that's more than two people's gonna be able to get to in this short a time. So I've got to tell you, there's no way we're gonna cover Ward 1, because they know nothing about it now, most people. Probably 95% of the people know nothing about it. And for us to educate them, it's gonna take way more than two people. So what I'm getting at is, if I don't have volunteers, the flyer may be all they get.
So that might be
Except,
that might be a situation where you guys just put signs at the top of the street and then they call and ask you.
and we could try and hit some of the people, but there's no way two people can hit all those houses. There's no
I mean,
way.
everybody knows their own ward, so if it's just like, they got the mailer, you're gonna put the signs at, like, our ward is smaller, so of course we can get,
Right.
and everything.
Yeah, if we get signs and we got a mailer, at least we have a foundation so that we can hit some key people. Like, I know 2 or 3 people that know half of Ward 1, and I'm not exaggerating. They know a bunch of people, so I could get a hold of them and give them a sheet or a couple sheets, and they can go out and talk, because they know all these people, and that would save us a boatload of time.
You could focus it then on who's registered to vote, because at this
Right,
point, talking to people that aren't registered, they're not gonna be able to vote anyway.
Right, I would need to see that list too, because
Or just call them.
for Ward 1 now, for Ward 1. So yeah, that's how Ward 1 would probably run. I mean, because they know nothing about it yet, most people, maybe a few do. But out of 385 houses, I would say you're talking 95% or better knows nothing about it.
So Sam, who's going to get the sign? We got $500. Who's going to
No, we
order
have
the sign?
$250.
Well, we have 250 and Gleneco has.
No, we don't know that yet. We passed out 250. That's all we know. So we have 250.
But even if we put signs at the top of a few key streets, like her street, for instance, everyone goes up and down on her street.
Yeah, I mean, you got Bermuda, you got,
All right, well, without,
But-
let's hear from Ward, let's hear
Well, just
from Ward.
one more point, keeping that in mind, the 300 plus, not all of them are registered voters.
Right.
So it's gonna cut it almost in half, yeah.
Well, that's right, and that's what I'm saying, I don't have a list, so it could be down to 150, I don't know that. But we need to see a list, A, and if we go the mailer first, then some signs, and then we'll hit key people, and that's probably what we're gonna do in Ward 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Karen can talk for
Go ahead,
herself,
Karen.
but I
So
think,
is it possible for us to get a list?
Yes, the
Okay.
only thing I'll say is, don't use it for business person,
Right.
because
Right.
I'm the one who requested it, and I think that's a misdemeanor or something.
Right, so we'll do,
It'll come back on me.
right. And we'll just get the list, and we'll work on the list. We'll send out the mailers to inform the residents, and we go from there. To me, I don't think a town hall meeting is gonna do any good for most wards, because most people won't even come. But if you guys wanna have one,
Most time with
y'all
public
can have one.
hearings,
If
you don't
guys
have to
wanna
put it
have one,
out
y'all
for
can have
people
one.
to know to come.
If you guys wanna have one, you can have one.
I agree
But
with the mayor.
right
I
now,
don't
we
think
can-
that'd be, I don't think that'd be well
Let's put the
attended.
flyer up, let's put the,
I mean, you
Well,
probably have
okay.
about six.
I've got a question for Andy. If we,
Probably
if,
has the same
if-
60 about
let's- if we have a town hall meeting and the entire council doesn't show up, can we have a town hall meeting? If we don't have a quorum?
I mean, public business is being discussed. If the purpose of the town hall meeting is just, I'm gonna say no. I mean,
Okay.
I guess if
All right.
the purpose is just for, the 9 of you to just sit and listen to people, then, but that's not really what the purpose of the town hall is.
It's to
right?
answer
So
questions.
Answer questions, provide information.
Okay.
So there needs to be a quorum.
So we need a quorum, we need a majority of people to agree that they'll really, please.
If I could just make a suggestion,
Sure.
perhaps the council and each ward have their own town hall meetings, and you guys can set it up however you'd like to, and you conduct that separately, and you discuss how you intend on distributing these materials, not in a city council meeting or a public meeting. That would be
great
my
answer.
suggestion.
I like that.
I like that.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
There we go.
There you go.
I think it separates all of us.
And I'd be happy to do
Mr.
that.
So, no, I'm saying, this is a Normandy voting for all 4 wards. And so,
Stops
why can't we, like with the public hearing, have it at the workshop before the vote? So when is it's July already? It would be the 4th Thursday in July. And we're not sure the mailing, we're hoping the mailing it gets out in a week, but sometimes, the mailings don't do what we want them to do because you're having the post office involved.
Let me just ask this, If there's a proposal to have a public hearing before our workshop, that might be enough to persuade people to say, yeah, I'll be willing to attend that. It may or may not. But if you want to make a motion to schedule a public hearing before the on July 27th, you can make that motion and we'll see what the consensus of the council is.
I think town hall would be a better phrase, because we're not having.
Individual town halls.
Right, town hall
Well,
meeting.
No, he
Because
said
we're not having
just
a
call it
public
a
hearing
town
on an ordinance, we're just having an information.
Oh, yeah, town hall,
hall. Just
okay.
saying call it a town hall.
Right, a town hall meeting prior to our budget discussion.
Okay, so the election is August 8th, right?
Yes.
August 8th. It's under a month. When will we get the literature out, the information out to the residents?
So, the mailer could be at the post office as early as Friday, at the latest, hopefully Monday, and then, it'll get sent out, so it should be out next week.
That means to everybody.
To registered
All
voters,
registered
to households with registered voters.
Also the point with, like a town hall meeting, we have not been consistent and very good of informing people of town hall meetings
Right.
and public meetings. So, I mean, if we're not gonna have the signs out that say to people, there's this going on, yeah, it's a waste of time, because we haven't developed that practice as a city in informing people about town hall meetings and public hearings. So but if people want to get the voter registration list, and you're committing to contact people, as many people as you can, in regards to this, the bottom line is, if it doesn't pass, it's gonna have to go to another vote in the future. Because it's gotta be both Normandy and Glen Echo Park voting it. So, I mean, we've been dragging our heels on this, and it's around the corner, folks.
Right. I suggested we get the information out, mail the information out to the voters, put the signs up, Natural Bridge, Florissant, Bermuda, and get them out there, Glen Echo, and put the signs out. Information and signs. Leave it at that.
That's all we can do
Information and
right now.
signs. And leave it at that.
All right.
And then be ready to,
Talk
talk
to
to
you
your
right now.
residents. That's it.
Okay.
And that means we're not.
Let's
move
on. Let's move on.
Yeah, we, it's 12 o'clock.
Is there anybody left for citizens' comments?
Terry Shannon?
I'm the only
Weren't you
one left.
before? Oh.
Terry Gannon, 7620 Augusta. Okay, well, I just want to say one thing about this discussion that you just had. Glen Echo Park is having their meeting here on Thursday. If y'all sent your constituents an email and invited them to come to their meeting, they would welcome them and then let them do some of the work, so. And I know that you have a bunch of email addresses because I gave them to you, so. So that would be one of my comments. The other comment was, I didn't know anybody was hit by a car on Florissant Road. But those weeds are so terrible. I almost hit somebody myself today. So have we heard anything from MoDOT or?
That's not happening until next year.
I mean, but did they give us an idea of a plan or anything?
They've been out there measuring and.
Oh, they have?
Yeah. But they're not done with their engineering yet.
And Terry, if
The
you'd like
weeds are-
to,
Go ahead, David.
Pull weeds? No.
The weeds aren't their responsibility, aren't those lots? Have we figured out who owns those lots?
Terry, I've spoken with the engineers and the lead engineer at multiple points throughout the year, well, almost now. If you'd like to, I can give you what little information I have about the project, so, from MoDOT's end at least.
Okay.
I think there's two separate things, the corner with the weeds that are overflowing.
I'm mostly talking under that bridge.
Yeah.
Where the road
Yeah.
is very narrow and the weeds are really high and you can't walk there. So, that was all I had.
All right, thank you, Terry.
Hey, Terry, can you do me a favor? Sell my house so I can go back to Hollywood.
Hollywood, California?
Yeah, sell my house.
Call me.
Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss a real estate, a legal, and a personnel issue? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Saxonheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Got 5 minutes.
Which piece was the, we're talking about, was it the investment?
I know. Oh, yeah, it was. I don't know.
Colton, Anchor.
Jack had jacket up.
What, no, Kirkland?
Yeah, termite down. Right, and termite down. That stayed up there.